Building shaking. What a moment. Man on the way to the moon. What did it feel like?
Felt like a train on a bad railroad track and shaking in every direction. And it was loud, really loud.
We commented afterward that the liftoff was so gentle we couldn't even feel. We just had a sensation that we're no longer attached to the ground.
Right.
It went straight up, smooth, really. The instrument said we lifted off. The radio transmission said we lifted off. So we said we lifted off.
Felt like a train on a bad railroad track and shaking in every direction. And it was loud, really loud.
What kind of proof can you offer us that you were there? What can you say to us?
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
You sometimes seem uncomfortable with your celebrity, that you'd rather not have all of this attention.
No, I just don't deserve it. Circumstance put me in that particular role. That wasn't planned by anyone.
Why don't you just put the end to the record in the argument and put your hand on the Bible, swear to God you walked on the moon.
Mr. Several, knowing you, that's probably a fake Bible.
The sun is not cold in the winter. The moon does exist, and we went there. No. You can call things by different names, and you can use the moon or Mars or Venus, and you can say this is the Venus trot. But that doesn't mean that it has any connection to what it would be like for a horse moving on Venus.
This is a question for Buzz Aldrin. How can you figure out the chances of total success of moon landing and liftoff as far as LAM and all systems in the LAM are concerned?
I would figure the chances are quite high. To be more specific, I wouldn't have the first idea to go about really how to calculate these.
What kind of proof can you offer us that you were there? What can you say to us?
Forget it.
Houston is monitoring the actual flight. All the telemetry is coming from the command module, so are your voices and medical data. We recorded everything from the practice simulations. They don't know. All we need from you is the actual television transmissions during the flight. We inserted a change in the onboard computer so the spacecraft will land 200 miles off target when it returns to Earth. You'll be flown to an island near that point. From there, you'll be transferred to a helicopter. The helicopter will fly you to the space capsule, and you'll be put inside. It'll take the recovery forces a minimum of an hour and a half to reach the splashdown site. By then, you will be inside the capsule. When the prime recovery carrier arrives, they'll find you inside the capsule and take you out of the spacecraft. You don't really think you're going to get away with this?
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Apollo 12's lunar lander touched down on November the 19th, 1969. It was only 4 months since Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin made history by setting the first human feet on the surface of the moon. Apollo 11 was a huge media event, broadcast live around the world and watched by nearly 600 million people.
Today we have with us a group of students among America's best. To you we say, we have only completed a beginning. We leave you much that is undone. There are great ideas undiscovered, breakthroughs available to those who can remove one of truth's protective layers.
Everything was planned to react and to do things in the safest possible way. My life after the moon sort of turned into gradual desolation and frustration.
Aldrin.
My life story is desolation.
Well, you're talking to the wrong guy. Why don't you talk to the administrator at NASA? We're passengers. We're guys going on a flight.
You're the one who said you walked on the moon when you didn't. Calling the kettle black, if I ever thought of it. Saying I misrepresented myself.
Away from me.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
Apollo 11 was filled with spectacular sight.
I think for me the most memorable time to challenge my memory and think back to announce to the world that we were there.
I think perhaps there are a lot of unknowns, and it's a wonderful experience.
The major event in my life, which changed my life entirely, and my participation in the space program.
It was our pleasure to have participated in one film that took place not just in the month of July, but rather one that took place in the last decade. We all here and the people listening in today had the opportunity to share that adventure over its developing and unfolding in the past months and years. It's our privilege today to share with you some of the details of that film about the moon. I'll believe you see the camera being lowered on what might be called a Brooklyn clothesline. And then I got my foot caught in the television cable, and Buzz was able to help me extract it without the rest of the activity seemed to go very rushed.
Balance seemed to be quite easy to identify, and as one would lean a slight bit to one side or the other, it was very easy to identify when this loss of balance was approaching. In maneuvering around, as you saw,
how much time did you have left in your life support backpacks at the time you got back on board LEM?
Time or two. I haven't seen the post-flight analysis of the numbers.
Colonel Aldrin and Mr. Armstrong, it looked there for a moment like you might have been a little bit aware of what was going on.
About 2.5 hours.
How do you view space exploration as a relative priority compared with the pressing needs of the domestic society and the world community at large?
I didn't hear the first part. I think we can say that overall, we wouldn't change the film. I'd say that we wouldn't recommend any major changes.
Maybe you'll get another chance to go to the moon, or you're going to be too busy being heroes.
No, probably get an answer to that question. Might have to spend as long preparing as we had to prepare for Apollo 11.
I'm struck from the movies and the still pictures.
How do you propose to restore some normalcy to your private lives in the years ahead?
I wish I knew the answer to the latter part of your question.
Kind of depends on you. We were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon by eye without looking through the optics. I don't recall during the period of time that we were photographing the solar corona what stars we could see.
I don't remember seeing any. I don't remember seeing any.
About stubbing your toe.
Based on your own experience in space, do you or any of you feel that there will ever be an opportunity for a woman to become an astronaut in our space program?
Yes, I hope so.
What is the meaning of this to all of us?
You want to try that?
After you. Well, everybody looking at me?
We are going to end here. We would appreciate it very much if you would remain seated so the crew could leave. They want to be at the luncheon at 1 o'clock, just slightly ahead of you. Thank you very much.
You always feel that the chances of actually lifting off are fairly distant or remote, and you have to temper your enthusiasm with the realization that in fact you may be coming back in and trying to go another day.